Hello, thank you for joining today's executive webinar series on how ISO 9001 improves business processes and sales and introductions to QDMS software. My name is Kevin Deveci. I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. Today I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Kvatirov from MRAS Consulting, and we'll learn about ISO 9001 and how ISO improves business processes in this competitive marketplace. Also today, I have Porva Desai from our pre-sales software engineering team. She'll be talking about and addressing QDMS on a high level, followed by my colleague Sam Watt. He is our senior pre-sales software engineer, and Sam will continue discussing benefits and features of QDMS, and he'll also show some other modules and capabilities of QDMS for your review. As a start, I'd like to invite Alex to our virtual stage so that we can get started by learning about fundamentals of ISO 9001 and how ISO helps improving business processes and sales. Alex, floor is yours if you're ready.
Yes, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me. And let me just share the screen. All right, good. All right, so today the topic that I will address will be the benefits of ISO 9001. Actually, it would apply to any ISO. ISO 9001 is the most generic ISO, but certainly the material that I will cover will certainly address any ISO that for a certification. But anyway, today what I want to focus on is really how ISO 9001 helps to improve the business processes. So I'll focus on what the processes are and how they can improve the whole business outlook for your organization. But before I start, let me just very briefly introduce my company, MRAS Consulting. Personally, I'm the sole proprietor of MRAS, and I am a certified ISO 9001 lead auditor. I've established my company back in 2015 after a rather lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company that is certified to the AS 9100 quality standard, AS 9100 being the aerospace standard. So what I currently do is I provide consulting services for businesses that are trying to either achieve or maintain ISO certification. And back in 2018, I became a Bimser Solutions partner for the purpose of supporting the marketing activities for the QDMS tool, and thus provide assistance to businesses in the application of the tool in the ISO environment. And I was very impressed when I first learned about QDMS, what its capabilities are and how it can really help manage all of the extensive data associated with ISO. And we'll discuss that a little more. And I also do a number of webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. So first, what is ISO? And in effect, ISO kind of requires the establishment of a quality management system, or QMS. And what is really a QMS? What is a quality management system? Well, really, it's a whole system of improving and establishing quality within your organization. So if you look at the top diagram, from the left, you have obviously customer requirements as an input. And then you go through a box, which is circled in red, processes. And I'll explain what processes are as part of my presentation. But it really transforms the input into an output. And whether you're a manufacturing organization or a service organization, you have to do some transformation of the input in order to generate the output, which is either a product that you deliver to your customer or could be a service. So as part of the quality management system, there are certain things that need to be established, certainly the policies. So what are you trying to do as part of your quality management system? Well, obviously, you want to meet or even exceed your customer expectations. And in order to do that, you really have to look at your organization and implement a continuous improvement process because you're never perfect. You may be an excellent organization, but there's always room for improvement. So the next level are the procedures, and this is how you're going to accomplish your business. Namely documents. You have documents that are either customer documents, internal documents, standard operating procedures. So it's any document that is needed to run your business and develop either a product or service for your customers. You will have obviously non-conforming products. You'll have failures in your products. And obviously you have to establish some control over them. And to fix all of those non-conforming products, you have to have a corrective and preventive actions. You have to take actions to find out why there was a failure, why there was a discrepancy in a certain product, and then perform corrective actions. Also, very important part of a quality management system is to do internal audits, because this is one way to catch internal deficiencies. And obviously, once they're identified, then you have to have, as part of your continuous improvement process, make corrections to get rid of those deficiencies. And finally are the responsibilities. In other words, who does what? What are the roles and authorities of your with your staff? The training that has to be accomplished, and also internal communication is very important, that everybody understands what is going on, at least in regards to quality. And obviously, knowledge of the quality policy has to really flow down through the entire organization. So a very brief description what ISO is, what a quality management system is. So now we will go into what are the processes. So let's look at, and really processes depends on what your business is, because ISO does not define what the processes are. But whether you're a manufacturing or a service organization, you have to have certain processes that kind of manages your business. And so that's really up to the organization to define what the processes are. So, but let's look at what is a definition of a process. And definition is, it's a set of interrelated or interacting activities. So a process really is an activity that you're performing, but they have to be, obviously there are multiple activities, and they have to be interrelated, and they have to interact properly. So that's the whole trick of really to become more efficient, is that all of these processes or activities really are properly efficiently integrated, so that the inputs that each process gets, and then within the process, you're then delivering an output to the next stage. And obviously, for a large organization, the process diagram could become very complicated. And again, as you evolve, the definition and the interrelationship of all the processes can change or should change really as part of your continuous improvement. So let's look at some examples. And by the way, those are typical examples. They may apply to your organization or they may not. And you may have other processes that you have which are not listed here. But for example, internal training, leadership, and performance evaluation. That's a process. And it's very important because, again, leadership management has to be involved in the organization, and they have to establish a process of how the entire organization performs, what training is needed for the staff, and how the results, how the performance is evaluated. So that's a process. And then the next one is manufacturing, design, development, testing. This is really the crux of the organization. So obviously, within each element of design, manufacturing, you could have multiple processes involved. But overall, there should be a process that deals from, let's say, the design aspect through the manufacturing, development, testing. Testing is a very important part to make sure that your product meets all the requirements. And then looking beyond the testing is the delivery to your customer and also the service, because once you deliver, you have to maintain the product. So that's the whole gamut of your development of whatever product or service that the organization is intended to do. Then you have to deal with your customer. So the customer interface and feedback. You should have a lot of feedback from your customer. You will have both positive and negative feedback, but this is important because you have to know how your customer feels, and any, let's say, dissatisfaction from your customer should be addressed immediately. So that's also a process that has to be established. Then obviously, whatever product or service you develop, you hope that it'll be perfect 100% of the time, but it does not happen that way. You will have some issues, some problems that you encounter. So a root cause analysis and a corrective action process has to be established to deal with those deficiencies. Then another part is documentation, configuration, control management. Obviously, there's a lot of documentation, as I mentioned before, and it has to be managed and controlled. And I believe later the QDMS tool, there'll be a demo to show the capabilities of QDMS in managing documentation. Also, there are a lot of records that are being developed as part of QMS, and records is the data that you collect in managing your business. And the data or records that are being collected is used to do your continuous improvement. So without knowing what the problems are, you can't really proceed and make improvements. But all of the records have to be managed and become readily available for management to determine, well, what can we work on to really, which are the highest priority to make improvements on. Then your infrastructure, obviously you have equipment that has to be maintained, calibrated, and that's a very important part of maintaining quality, because certainly you don't want to use equipment that's out of calibration or is not really working at its maximum efficiency. And of course, you have to deal with your suppliers, and certainly supply chain is a very important issue right now. But even without the supply chain problems that we're currently encountering, you still have to deal with your suppliers. You have to select suppliers. You have to evaluate suppliers to make sure they're capable of delivering the product to you that you need in your business, and also having an approval of their processes. So again, it's a flow down of your requirements to your suppliers. And that's obviously another process. And lastly is conducting internal audits. You, again, if you're ISO certified, you are required to conduct at least a yearly internal audit. And in order to perform the audit effectively, you have to have a plan and a process and a procedure to look into your internal organization and make sure that you're following your process, your QMS process. So those are examples. Certainly it's not an exhaustive list, but those are very common processes. So now, how does the establishing of effective processes help you improve your performance? Because ultimately, ISO, if it's properly implemented, will certainly improve the overall performance of your organization, because it will increase your sales and at the same time decrease the cost of sales. Now, how do you increase sales? Well, because if you're certainly satisfy your customer, then the word gets around. Certainly, the customer will continue to order from your organization, and word spreads around that you are satisfying the customer needs. And at the same time, because your internal process becomes more efficient, that decreases the cost of sales. So, so you have more sales, and yet the cost of sales is less. So your overall profits increase. And this there's some statistics here, which is not mine. It's really based on some established resources, certainly the Dallas Business Journal and Manufacturing News, that 85% of the ISO registered firms have reported positive results. Since they became ISO certified, their overall performance improved. So they had a reduction in customer complaints, because you're, again, you're providing a product with less defects. Because you're internally more efficient, there's an improvement in the delivery time. So you're delivering on time, and also the defects are reduced. So your goal is to achieve 0 defects. Okay, but that's, I understand, maybe a very, very difficult target to achieve, but you have to really go for the minimum amount of defects that you can deal with. Also, there's a reduction in the internal product development cycle time. So shorter time means your cost gets reduced, and then your on-time delivery gets improved. So those aspects of your organization, through a tight control of all your processes, certainly provides a very beneficial results as far as delivering quality product to your customer on time. And this is kind of a summary. Again, we've kind of addressed a lot of those issues, but that's a summary of why ISO is very beneficial to your organization. Because again, the ISO standard is recognized worldwide. So no matter where you are in Europe, Asia, everybody knows about ISO. It certainly improves your customer satisfaction, and it establishes also a credibility that you have an approved quality management system. And nowadays, because of the supply chain and by uh, your as a manufacturer, you may require your suppliers to be ISO certified because that imposes on them a quality management system, uh, so that you are then assured that at least they have control of their internal development process. And also as an important part of the ISO culture is to have continual improvement. And that's how you gradually improve all aspects of your internal processes and organization. Now, again, as I mentioned before, it increases the efficiency. So you uh, do better decision making because now you're making decisions on evidence rather than guesses as to what you're going to be improving. Uh, I certainly mentioned before that all your processes are better integrated. So there's again an improvement in the efficiency. And the whole nature of this quality should really be propagated through the entire workforce, because then your entire workforce at all levels will understand how important quality is, and they will, from their work, contribute to improving and making this whole process more efficient and better quality. And again, as I mentioned before, the bottom line is that your revenue and profitability will improve, even though ISO does not is not involved in the finance, in the managing your finances, but certainly every organization's goal is to improve profitability. Okay, so as a conclusion, I want to say that managing QMS system is not easy. It's a very challenging proposition. And lately, uh, as a result of the pandemic, it's even gotten more difficult. And because even though hopefully we're kind of behind the pandemic now, looks like uh, everything is starting to go back to normal, but it still looks like a number of employees will be working remotely, and they still have to have access to the QMS data from wherever they are, whether they are working on site or remotely. They need to have the same access to all that information. So that means that they need the virtual control of all the QMS documents and records. So um, this is very important that uh, all that data be available to them wherever they are. Uh, and also conducting audits. Um, well, now it's certainly becoming easier because now the organizations are opening up to outside personnel, but you still have to conduct audits, whether it's an internal audit or audit by a certification agency. Uh, so with a virtual access of your QMS data, audits could be performed virtually, which is a very important feature to have. And again, I think that remote workforce will continue. So whether you're working on site or remotely, again, you need to have access to all of that data. So bottom line is that data has to be uh, loaded on a either local server or remote server. It's your choice how it's done, but a tool must be used to do that. And certainly the QDMS software tool fully supports ISO implementation. And I can certainly say from my own experience that I can highly recommend QDMS because it certainly makes the managing of all the QMS data, whether you're on site or remotely located, it makes it very efficient and easy to use. So that really completes my presentation. Thank you very much. And I'd like to turn it over back to Kevin.
Thank you very much, Alex. Much appreciated for the insights. It was important to learn about ISO 9001, and fundamentals of ISO. So in that sense, it was actually very, very helpful for us. Thank you very much. So what we like to do is moving forward, since we have the foundational information about ISO 9001, and we lay the foundation as to how actually ISO helps improve business processes in this competitive marketplace. Now let's talk about QDMS a little bit. Let's see how QDMS helps organizations from every industry of every size in this digital age. So for that, I'd like to invite my colleague, Porva Desai, to our virtual stage. Porva will be showing you how QDMS looks, how it feels, and how it can help you for various ISO 9001 compliance requirements. Let me start sharing so Porva can take over the screen. Go ahead, Porva.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Alex, for a wonderful presentation. So today I'll be showing you how QDMS looks and feels. So QDMS is our integrated management system. It is also a web-based system and can be accessed using any web browser. And it is also a permission-based system, so not everyone has access to everything in the system. And you can connect to what you're supposed to based upon your position, profession, department, and group. So after logging into the system here, we have our main dashboard on our home page. And you can have a quick access to some of your documents saved right from opening up the widgets, along with, for example, your documents for approvals and some other ones as well. And on our top left here, we have the main menu of QDMS where we have all the modules. So because of this module structure, you can pick and choose the module that you want to deploy on your cloud or on-premise server. So first, I'll be starting off with the control document management module. So you can use this module to upload your control documents, for example, SOPs, specifications, procedures, policies, and so on to the system. And also, if there's any version update to your control documents, you can also start a revision process in this module. So you can manage a folder structure based upon document type, department, and location. So in order to view the document, QDMS has a built-in browser that enables us to view our documents. And once we open it up, here it is. And on our top here, we have some other information related to documents, such as document info, where we can see the document code, as well as the name, the revision number, along with the document owner, as well as the department that it falls under and some other criteria. And then we also have a tab for revision information, where we can see the last revision date, along with the revisor, and the approval date, along with who the approvers were, and the revision reason. And then here we also have a permission matrix, so we can see the certain activity based upon the user group and position. And then we also have a distribution list here, along with a approval list. And then we also have a vision matrix of the document, so we can view it depending upon employee ID and staff. And then we also have a hard copy control of the document. And we also have the place of use for the document by department, along with any references that we may have. So you can add it by the document code and the name. And then we also have a tab for process, where we can input the code, the name, and the process type, along with the goal. And we can also attach other documents by going to attachments, by adding it by file name and the date added. And then, as I mentioned before, we also have a tab for revision request, where we can send a request for approval for revision. So we can input the requester, the request date, along with any description that we may have. And then we also have the tab for the product, along with the review list. And lastly, we have a history of the document. So we can see everything from the process date, process time, and the type of process that took place. So also in this module, we have a reporting tool that's available. So there's a reporting tool available for every module in QDMS. So in this particular module, we'll take a look at the document status report. So before creating this report, we can input the certain criteria on it, such as the document type, along with the status of the document, the draft status, along with the parent folder, the document code, along with the name of the document, the date of creation, and the last revision date. And we can also select the document type and the document owner and some other information. And once we do that, we can send this report out. And we're also more than welcome to send it out to an Excel or PDF file. And if we go up here, we can use this tool to filter the documents that we have in our system based upon the code, the name, the revision number, along with the document creator and the revision user, and some other criteria as well. And now we'll move on to another module in QDMS, which is the corrective actions module. So you can record all the corrective actions by using this module, and all the records will be recorded in different status based upon the progress of them. So here they are listed by the corrective actions ID, along with the resource and the department, customer or supplier that they fall under, along with the last date that they were opened at, and who the team leader is as well. So let's say we want to create another corrective action. So we can go into new corrective actions form. And so here we can choose the corrective action source from this drop-down menu, along with the department and the location and the nonconformity detail, along with the description that we may have and the category that it falls under. And we also have a tab for a detailed description. So once we do that, this will be assigned to a solution team. So the solution team has to first file a first investigation report and define the root cause. And based upon that root cause, the team can also assign tasks to other responsible users, such as a team leader and the responsible department, along with the team members. And before closing this record, a final report is required from the solution team. So for example, here we also have a tab for the first improvement report date. And also in this module, we have some reports that are available, such as our corrective actions report, cost reports, and other reports such as summary and a detailed report for the corrective actions. And now I'm going to pass it over to Sam to go into a couple more modules in QDMS.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. And in the following, I will demonstrate you the training and also the survey modules. So as we are complying with ISO standards, so by using our system, you can enjoy the benefits from our modules in order to have the continuous improvement. And by having the continuous improvement in our organization, we can also reduce our defects and also increase our response time and also customer complaints, especially after when we are using the training module. So we can assign and create different training plan for our employees and for different departments. Right here, this are different training plans that I have prepared in this demo environment. And when we are talking about the training plan, it's like the goal that we want to achieve. In this example, like we are going to have a PPE training, and we can schedule it with the date and also the date for having this training, and upload any documents if there's any as a reference to the trainer, especially. And once we have the training plan ready, meaning the goal that that we have set up, then we can create different items under this training plan. Think about like in reality, we are going to have a PPE training, and there will be we are going to cover different topics or subjects. Like in this example, like how to dispose of the PPE, how to maintain the PPE, and how to use the PPE, for example. So we can create different items like as the objectives. that help us to achieve the goal. And what is the goal in this example is the whole PPE training, meaning after taking this training, everyone is supposed to know how to use, maintain, and dispose of the PPE. And we can define different training items under this planning. And while we are scheduling this training item, we can also define like the subject that we are going to cover, and then the start date and the date and also the time for this training. If there's any budget, we can also define it in as for our record keeping. Also, QDMS support multi-currency, meaning we can also define the budget in different currency as we are having different locations as for our company. And when we are scheduling the training item, we can also invite the trainer who will be the responsible person to train the employees. Then we can pick up the trainer right here, or if we're inviting some trainer from other external parties, saying coming from any institution, for example, or is coming from any like or coming from the government, for example, or it's like we invite certain consultants like Alex from other company and coming to our place in our meeting room and share the ISO knowledge with us. So those external trainer can also be defined and scheduled in this training item. Again, as there is any attachment that you want to upload to the system as a reference to the trainer and also the training, you are more than welcome to attach any documents here as well. And once we have the training item ready, we can invite who should attend this training. And right here, we can invite different trainee to this training by pick and choose the user. And this is the user list that we have recorded in our system. And when we are talking about the user list, also one more sign up here is as for QDMS, we can have the AD integration, Active Directory integration, and capture all the employees' information from your database that you are currently managing your HR information. And then, and saying now we perform the training, like we invite our trainer and trainee, and at some day and time and certain place, we perform the training. Then we can also update the system and tell the system, okay, now we did the training and I want to update who attends the training as well. So we can also mark the attendance of this particular training, like who show up in this training, who joined it, and the reason why they are not joining this training. And in case there is a task or quiz involved during the training, we can also record the score that the training scores during the training. As we have the reporting tool, it is available for every single module of QDMS. We can also generate different reports. For example, like the attendance reports and also like the budget report. As I've mentioned, we can also record the budget, how much it costs our company. We can also run a report and have an overview of all the training that we have scheduled. And in QDMS, we also have the survey module, which allows you to get the feedback from your employees, like internally from your employees, or externally, meaning like feedback coming from your same customer, your supplier, your vendors, your subcontractors. And by using this module, we can set up different surveys in order to get the feedback. And I'm going to show you one of the example right here and see what kind of question type that we can manage in QDMS. By the way, by using this module, we can use this module for setting up different testing, for example, in this module as well, as we have the capability to set up different question type and invite the participant to this particular survey, or I'm gonna say task or evaluation form. We can have an open task box that allows you to enter the answer of this question. And also we can have like or the user can pick and choose the items that's provided in from this question, or having a multiple choice question right here, as I'm showing. Also, we can have the drop-down list. So by using this survey module, it helps you minimize the manual data entry in order to minimize the human error, which is, as we are managing the data entry manually, it's hard to avoid the human error. But by using our system, we can set up the question and provide items to be chosen by the participants, so that they don't have to type, and we can manage and make sure they are providing the appropriate answer for our survey. Right here, we can also find that certain questions can also be hidden in this survey, and based upon the answer of the previous question, then certain question will show up accordingly. And in our survey, we can also upload the document to our survey or to our form, so that we can always keep the attachment that they provided. For example, like any certificate or any license that can be a reference or that is essential for this survey, we can also have them to be attached in our in the record. With the permission, the authorized user can also find the results of different surveys. For example, we can take a look at this one, for example, and we can see in total how many of the participants has choose that particular items of a question. So we can see the percentage, like one pick the item 2 in question 1 and one pick item 1 in question 1, and we can also find the percentage to be shown in this particular page. We can run this report and export it into Excel or PDF for sharing with any responsible parties or for our own documentation. Other than that, we can also find the individual results in this module. The previous page is show us like the overview, how many of them the answer, how they perform or how they answer in our survey. And right here, we can find the individual record. Like as for this particular user, we can find what he or she choose or how they are doing in this particular survey, and get the idea and feedback by coming to this page. This comes to the end of my demonstration on a high level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. Now let's talk about QDMS a little bit deeper. As you know, QDMS is the software product of Bimser International. That's a proprietary software system, and we have been developing it since 1998. As Bimser is a global enterprise software publisher since 1998. We are based in New York and we have global presence. Let's continue with QDMS. So, as I mentioned earlier, QDMS has been in the market since 1998. It's a very mature system. It is scalable, as my colleagues demonstrated earlier. There are more than 1,000 corporate customers using QDMS, and there are more than 1 million professional users using QDMS on a daily basis. It is also certified software solution by Acumatica as well as Sage Intacct ERP systems. Some benefits of QDMS: with the help of QDMS, you can take control of your quality and compliance management processes. You can automate your compliance management operations as well to save time, to be proactive. Also, you can continuously improve your business processes digitally. As Alex mentioned earlier, in core, ISO 9001 helps you improve your business processes and improves your business operations. And that's how we designed QDMS as well, to help automate as well as improve business processes. In addition, With the help of QDMS, you'll be ready for audit anytime. Since you'll be using QDMS on daily basis as a system of record, you are ready for audit, whether internal audits or certification audits. You'll be ready anytime to be audited. You can also follow up your tasks. You can have follow-ups. It is because QDMS has notifications, reminders, and escalations to help you make sure that all the tasks are getting done on time. And if there is any delay, you'll be notified and you can take needed actions to get things done. In that sense, it's very, very helpful and very advantageous. You can increase your productivity. You can also reduce your operations waste. If you are a manufacturer, for example, you'll have less scrap since you'll be improving your processes constantly. On QDMS, you can comply with any type of ISO 9001, ISO 14000, ISO 13485, 22000, you name it. It has a web-based architecture, meaning you can access QDMS from anywhere. You can access from office, when you are on business trips, when you are working remotely in hybrid work environments. So the continuous improvement process will be going on QDMS non-stop with no interruption. It's a safe system. It has also security features in place, and it also has a mobile application for you to make sure that you're on top of your compliance management operations. QDMS has advanced integration capabilities. What it means is QDMS can talk to other software systems, ERP systems, CRM systems, office systems, as well as IoT devices or smart sensors to help you have a proactive quality management and compliance management system in place. It is a vertical free system, meaning you can use QDMS in any industry, regardless of your company's size. So it is actually very flexible. It is also scalable. It scales up, it scales down. So QDMS is good for mid-sized organizations. It is also ready for enterprise companies as well. And you may be operating in any industry. So you can use QDMS anytime in any industry. It has more than 30 modules, QDMS. So you can pick and choose any module you like. My colleagues demonstrated some of the modules that we have. However, in total, we have more than 30 modules available. So in that sense, that's actually very, the offering is actually very rich, and you are free to choose any modules that you like, depends on what you are complying and what operations you like to digitize. You have seen earlier control document management module. Also, you have seen corrective action module that Paula demonstrated. Sam demonstrated survey module and training modules, for example, and there are more modules as listed on the slide. In that sense, QDMS is ready to cater any of your compliance requirements digitally. It works on laptop, it works on desktop, it also works on tablet as well as smartphones. Tablet and smartphone capabilities are critical, especially for audits that you are performing on site, so that you can pull your mobile app on your smartphone or on your tablet, and you can perform your audit right there on the spot. Great, so it was the quick overview of Bimser International and QDMS software on a high level. Before we end our executive webinar session, Alex, do you have any final remarks that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yes, definitely, Kevin. I just wanted to, I guess, emphasize that based on my presentation and the various processes that I covered, well, both Purva and Sam have demonstrated how QDMS can support those processes. And certainly they talked about documentation control, root cause analysis, corrective action, training, customer supplier surveys. And as Kevin mentioned, that there are, I think, about 30 modules that QDMS supports, so that in effect, all of the processes that your organization requires can be supported by QDMS. And as you can see, the capabilities of it that it provides is enormous because it gives you full control of those processes. And the important thing, that's all located on one server. It's not scattered on different in file cabinets or different laptops. It's all located on a central or local server, so that really, if you're properly maintaining QDMS, there's really almost no preparation needed for the audits, for either the surveillance audits or the internal audits. So that's why I think it's a really great tool and makes your life to maintain and support ISO a lot easier. So I think that's my important message that I'd like to convey.
Thank you, Alex, for your insights as always. It is always important to learn about ISO 9001, especially nowadays it's more important than before. So we truly appreciate your expertise and for you to share your insights. Thank you very much. Before we end our session, I'd like to also share some information as final notes of our executive webinar series. We have recently delivered Synergize 2022 Annual Virtual Summit and Conference of Bimser International. Recordings are available on our YouTube channel. It was actually very successful. We had many attendees and we had great experts talking about digital transformation, automation, as well as compliance management and plan maintenance management. We also emphasized the importance of low-code workflow management, and we had different sessions with use cases, testimonials, and also many different information as to how you can use QDMS for quality management, BIM for asset and maintenance management, and EBA for low-code workflow business process automation. So you are invited to visit our YouTube channel to watch sessions available recorded during Synergize 2022. We are getting also ready for Synergize 2023 for next year. We'll also be meeting with our ecosystem, with our partners, customers, our followers, digital transformation professionals, as well as academia. So it is scheduled for March 15 for next year, and it is already available for registration on our Eventbrite page. So you are invited to our Eventbrite page to register and secure your spot as early as possible. Speaking of our Eventbrite page, we also like to emphasize that our Eventbrite page has the list of our coming events. You can see what is coming, and you can register for those that you are interested. So please go to Eventbrite and search for Bimser International so that you can see the list and register for those events of Bimser International that you are interested. Our YouTube channel is live. It has hundreds of videos available about digital transformation, manufacturing 4.0, automation. We also have recordings of Synergize 2022, as well as Synergize 2021 Annual Virtual Summit and Conference of Bimser International. Many informative and exciting videos are available. Also, we have short videos, brief videos of Bimser International enterprise software offering. So you'll have a chance to see videos about EBA for workflow, low-code workflow development, as well as QDMS and BIM to see the benefits and features of Bimser International offering. I'd like to thank you for your time and for your interest, and we are looking forward to having you at our coming executive webinar series. Thank you very much and have a nice day.